anything. You can't be hung up on anything. You're either going to be a slave or you're going to be a master. A grand master. See how these terms are worked in? Which one are you going to be? Are you going to be a slave to your sin? Or are you going to be a master over those whims?
As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I take a look at my life and realize there's nothing left. 'Cause I've been blasting and laughing for so long that even my mama thinks how my mind is gone. And I ain't never crossed a man who didn't deserve it. Me be treated like a punk, you know that's unheard of. You better watch how you talking and where you're walking, or you and your homies might be lined and chalking. I really hate to trip, but I gotta load. As I croak, I see myself in a pistol smoke. Oh, I'm the kind of G the little homies wanna be, like on my knees in the night, saying prayers in the street light. Been spending most their lives living in the gangster's paradise. Been spending most their lives living in the gangster's paradise. Keep spending most our lives living in the gangster's paradise. Keep spending most our lives living in the gangster's paradise.
All right, here we go. Got another for you guys. Let me see. Let's look at this. So we got the high table on this one. This is for all my John Wick fans and my Matrix fans too, because you already, if you heard any of my Matrix references in the past, if you've been following me on the God Pill podcast with my brother Marcus Hart, you already know what's about to come next. And there's going to be some Matrix references, big time. And if you haven't seen the full John Wick series, yeah, there will be some spoilers, but not to the point where you have to click off or anything. It's not going to be that bad. But let's see. Let's get into it. Now, also, I wanted to explain to you guys before I just got into this one. I wanted to explain why it's beneficial for us to analyze this fictional group. And some may say, just based off the title, what can we learn from the high table? Well, what can we, can we even learn something constructive from the high table? Can we learn something productive? Something that we can incorporate to our own personal lives? And the answer is absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. Throughout time, there's always been a special grace, if you will, a divine touch from God, some may even say, from men that operated in this world with a good understanding of the powers that be above them. This is historical. Whenever someone is trying to navigate the world that they're in, when I say world, I mean age, the era that they're in. Whenever they try to navigate that world and they understand that there are higher powers, I'm not talking spiritual, actual people that are pulling strings, and they're just aware of that, whatever they do, they have a little bit of a touch on it. They have a little bit of a grace on it. It's different. And that's in all walks of life. That's in all games. It's even to the point where some may have absolutely nothing to do with those higher powers, but the people that watch their work may say, oh yeah, they've sold their soul. They've been turned over to the dark side, when in reality they just have a special grace on their work, and they may have nothing to do with the higher powers that may be the ones that one could sell their soul to. See, so that's just one of the many reasons that we can learn something from the high table. And as I kind of hinted already, this is a fictional group, but they're based on actual entities that are out there in the world, in our world today. And they link themselves to older worlds, but I want to show you just real quickly how an organization from an old world can be well and alive in the new world. See, let's see where we're gonna start. And I'll be using some of the transcripts from Movie Stein, so I want to get that shout out the way. Out the way. But they did a real good job breaking down the high table within 11 minutes. And I like their videos because they even have the same accent of some of the gentlemen within the fictional high table. It feels like you're actually listening to a high table member explaining, the high table. It's pretty cool. But let's take a look real quickly. So the high table is the organization that stands at the top of the criminal world. This is within the John Wick universe. And for those that don't know, John Wick actually has a comic. There's actually a comic on John Wick too. So this is a well-seasoned storyline that we're watching when we watch this series. But let me see. Get this coffee real quickly. Get that coffee. It's Alright. And if you need to pause this to get your ascot, throw your ascot on, please do. If you need to pause this to get your coffee, please do. To get your china glasses to go along with it, please do. We're gonna do this one in class. Oh yeah, and also, I think I'm gonna do a book on this. So if you're listening to this and it's from the book that you've purchased, welcome. And buckle up. There's going to be much more to enjoy. So let's see. Talk about unabridged. This is as unabridged as a book could get. But that's how I roll. So the High Table is an organization that stands at the top of the criminal world. It is the antagonistic organization in the John Wick universe, despite being mentioned quite often throughout the franchise. We know very little about it, even after the fourth film. So let's get to these characters. Let's take a look. Alright. Let's see. So we have the adjudicator. That's one of the characters, the adjudicator. And I'm not gonna get too in depth on it. Not right now. The book will have more. Like I said, this is about what we could learn from these guys. So you have Katia, John Wick's first sister, allows him to return to the family. I believe that one was in chapter 4. After he kills the assassin who killed her father, Santino the Antonio. After, let me see, I don't want to get too deep in here. So you have Chidi, you have Kane, you have Santino, you have the Harbinger, the Adjudicator, let me see, the Continental Hotel, the main headquarters that all these other that the high table really functions through. And you have the markers. Let's see what else we got. Let's see. We have the Bowery King, Chidi, see, what I'm also going to do too is the high table is based, for those that don't know, the high table is based on real organizations that actually exist in the world. Now, what they want you to think, what they portray often, is that the high table is based on world criminal organizations. I'll just put it that way. Criminal organizations that kind of run all of the crime in the world. That's what they want you to think, right? That's the whole idea of it. When you watch the John Wick series and you look at it from that way, it makes sense. It's enough for the story to make sense, right? But in reality, from a more detailed, a more meticulous sense, it doesn't stop there. You got to go a little higher to actually get the full grasp of what they're showing you with the high table. Because it's when you talk about secret society. I kind of slipped. When you talk about criminal organizations, right? They don't really show too much symbolism in their in their organization. Is they kind of hide symbolism. See, they kind of hide their symbolism, and most of if you do see symbolisms, it'll be something ancient based. It'll be based on ancient things, which all symbols really are. But when you look at secret societies, which is what the high table really is, what it really represents, now we're talking, because there's far too many secret society based symbolisms in this series within the high table for it to just be based on crime lords. See, it's bigger than crime. We're talking about the rulers of the world. That's why in the John Wick series, the high table has so much power they can actually stop time, as we've seen from Winston. See, can actually stop time as if it's a simulation, which brings us over to the Matrix. But we'll walk over there. We'll walk there. We're not gonna jump into that just yet. So let me see. We have the Adjudicator, Chidi, Zero, the Shinobi, Kane, Killer Harkon, Vincent de Ramon, the Harbinger. These are the main characters of the High Table. And of course, we don't have enough time to get deep into all these guys, deep into their lives and their background. But let's see. I think that's enough to get us started. So when you watch the series, when you observe the series, rather, when you study it, it's good to understand that, yeah, these guys do represent crime families of the world. But when you see it that way, that's the limit of the observation. You're only going to be able to observe the rest of the series from that standpoint. See, your knowledge of the series, your perception of the series is going to be limited to crime, to the crime that happens in the world, right? But when you look at the fact that the High Table actually represents the secret societies of the world, now we're not just talking about crime. We're talking about all societal aspects of life. And it's kind of clear here because, see, when a criminal organization does some kind of criminal activity, they have to pay off the police. They have to pay off the law enforcement. They have to pay off whoever are the beacons of order in order to continue their discord in the world. The High Table doesn't have to do any of that. Whenever they're conducting their stuff throughout that society, people are acting as normal. See, they're acting as normal. Even law enforcement will look the other way. You know, if you remember, I think that was the first movie. Cop went over to John and said, "Hey, so you working again?" I don't know about you guys, but I don't think that was a crooked cop. The way that conversation was conducted, it was as if John was a firefighter, like a retired firefighter. You know? But no. John was a full-on assassin. And the cops just having a nonchalant conversation with them. That shows you how much power that group has. It's far above the reach of law enforcement. These guys run the world. That's the High Table. They're the secret societies of the world. And because they are secret societies, hey, you know, I have faceless channels. I like my privacy too. I like being secret too. So to protect the secret societies, their image, to protect it, I guess you could say, I'm going to refrain from actually using the actual names of these secret societies. And what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to use fictional references. You know, I'm going to refer to them from their fictional image, because the fictional is good enough for us to observe these guys, especially considering that they only want you to know, or they'll only let you know what they want you to know. See, people think they're deep when they come across information, but you have to remember, this is information that they let slip. So, that's that for that. But, you know, there's been many images of these secret societies throughout pop culture and throughout the comics. You know, you have Spectre in the James Bond universe, which is very similar to Hydra. It's very easy to connect Spectre to Hydra in the Marvel universe. There's also even Dragon Ball Z, the Red Ribbon Army. You know, it's everywhere. Then it's a lot more blunt in Street Fighter. I'll leave you to study the Street Fighter lore, but they actually come out with one of the more famous or infamous names in the Street Fighter series. You know, they have Shadowy, they have Sin, and then they have the other organization that was revealed in Third Strike. So it's nothing new, but at the same time, it's still on. So I'm protecting myself by protecting them, and that's just how it's got to be. You know, and it's not like the content will be tampered by me not actually naming the names. Hey, if you really want to do the research, if you really want the information, then do the research. You know, there's plenty Prophecy Club episodes for you to listen to get the actual names and addresses in even some cases. But we're not here for that. We're here to, you know, philosophize the issue. We're here to philosophize the issue and to actually go step by step, look at these events, these world events, these world dynamics, and to see how we can benefit from it. Whether you're a 9-to-5er or whether you're a entrepreneur, we can all benefit from this kind of information. See, and that's what it's all about. So, the high table is pretty much the head secret society of the John Wick world, and synonymous to whatever head secret society is over our actual world. Very similar. They influence pop culture. They influence all the people. Many people's day-to-day life is kind of under the control, under the, I guess you can say, confines, if you will, to what the high table will allow them to do. See? And this is a simulation. The John Wick world, it is a simulation. Now, it shouldn't be hard for us to connect this to the Matrix. But there's just a couple of things. The obvious things, you have Neo and Morpheus, right? They're in this series. The Smith that fought Morpheus on that trailer, on that truck, on that 18-wheeler. That's the same agent, or that's the same, he's kind of an agent of the high table that fought Neo in that club scene. Neo that fought John Wick in that club scene in the, I think that's the first movie. See, those are the obvious ones. Getting a little deeper. Morpheus caused time to stop, caused the simulation to stop. Winston caused time to stop. See, the people that have the truth, and well, I'll leave that one. I'll leave that one for later. Lawrence Fishburne, he's kind of a guide in the Matrix. Lawrence Fishburne is kind of a guide in John Wick. The gentleman that plays Winston, he's very much a guide in John Wick, but he was also a guide in the Hercules movie, the one with The Rock. I know that one was corny. I know a lot of you may think that one was corny, but corny or not, these are the connections. These are the connections. And let me see. I know there's more connections to the Matrix. I think we could leave it at that for now. But one connection that I do want to bring into our own lives is the fact that the John Wick world is a simulation. See, it is a simulation. Now, I'm not one of those that believe that we actually live in a simulation. I'm not one of those. But our lives here are much like a simulation. Why? Because once we die, that's not it for us. We go on to another world. And many spiritual guides attest to the fact that the world beyond this one is the real deal. The world beyond this one is the big picture. And our lives here is a test. It's a game. It's a Squid Game. That's another high table reference too, or a secret society reference too. Because we thought the dark web was fictional, right? Until they came out with the Matrix, and we thought those red rooms were fictional until they came out with Squid Game. It's like, we know this is happening somewhere. You know. So this is what it is. This is what it is. But this world is a lot like a simulation, in the fact that we live here and our spirits are here, but it's not eternal. And the reality of it is really based on perception. It's really based on perception. And that's what's so dangerous about it. How do you conclude something that's all perception? It's based on how you view it. See? And we're not even going to bring the Joker into this, because that's a whole other aspect. That's a whole other philosophy in itself. That one may deserve a whole other video or a book. And I may do a book on that one. But the high table, it does actually exist. It just goes under different names and a different title. And the high table in the John Wick world is a lot like the suits in the Matrix world. The suits which were being referenced by the analysts in the fourth Matrix movie. The suits which are actually above all the agents and are so high up there they're still speculated on. You know, there's many Matrix philosophers that are speculating if Deus Machina is what the suits really are. If the suits are just Deus Machina. You know, and if you forgot who Deus Machina is that it's when the Sentinels came together and kind of made a face, kind of made a baby face, a child face to Neo in the third movie. so that Neo could fight that final battle. That's Deus Machina. It's a collection of entities becoming one personality, one all intelligent personality. And it's actually Latin for God from the machines. So this goes deep, I know, but this is what we're here to do. We're here to philosophize this thing and tie it into our modern day lives. So these guys, they run everything. They run the world that we live in. They run it all. And the people in the background, the NPCs, the people that are in those clubs, the people that are, just walking, trying to get to wherever they're trying to get to, and trying to, stay out of the high table's way as they're conducting business. Business meaning all that wonderful combat that we love seeing. Those people, they live their normal lives because they don't know what the high table knows. Otherwise, would they still live a normal life? Would they still choose to just be normal? See, I think to be knowledgeable in that world, I think the most normal you could get is the Bowery King. I think that's the most normal you could get. Lawrence Fishburne's character in John Wick. I think that's the most normal you could get when you're highly intelligible in that kind of world especially. But in this world, yeah, that's the most normal you're gonna get. You're gonna be an oracle. You're gonna be a guide for people that are actually out in the field, getting their hands dirty, getting into the grit and grime of this world, trying to make a difference. See, because anything other than that means that you don't truly have the truth. You're not truly knowledgeable. You may know a lot, but you may not be knowledge able. You may not be so capable of doing things based on your knowledge, based on your know. You're not know able. You're not knowledge able. See? And that's what it's about. So here's another Matrix John Wick reference. The high table are the red pills. Okay? The high table are the red pills. The reason why we know this is because at the end of the movie series, which one was that? I always forget his name. Is it the Harbinger? Yeah, the Harbinger. So at the end of it, there's a reference to the truth. There's a reference to the truth. We're all doing this for the sake of the truth. When he was speaking to John Wick. See? And the truth is what got Neo started in this whole shabazz in the first place. The truth is what took him down the rabbit hole from the first Matrix, if you remember. See? But the conclusion of the Matrix series, at least from the third movie, was choice. The golden line from that movie was, why do you fight? Why do you fight? Why do you persist, Mr. Anderson? Is it for love? Do you even know? And Neo says, "Because I choose to." That was the golden line of the movie. Choice is an illusion, but when you have the truth, you can at least have control over your actions. You can make a more amicable or more respectable choice when you have the truth. Why do you do this? Because I choose to. Because I have the truth and I choose to. That was the moral of The Matrix. Whereas in John Wick, the moral of John Wick, that golden line at the end of it was, we do this for the sake of the truth. What does this mean? This means that you can actually operate as the high table operates in the John Wick world. Tying that to this world, you can operate as if you're a part of the high table in this world if you just have the truth, if you just master the truth. That's what this whole world, that's what this whole simulation is all about, is about getting the truth and mastering it. Getting the truth and mastering it, using it to the best of your ability. And just climbing, just leveling up. See, that's what it comes down to. That's what it. If you could really get the truth out of anything in this world, you could become super successful at that thing. Super success. If you could just get the truth out of it. See. Even in sports, physical sport, competitive sport, something like basketball, you're dribbling the ball, someone's in front of you trying to get the ball from you. They're pretending that they want to go here, but they really want to go there. If you don't identify that, then they're probably going to get the ball from you. The truth. See. And it is interesting, we have so many sports watchers. I know there's some probably some sports watchers within our circle here, our circle of 300. But I know y'all wasn't watching it like that. Watching a competition of truth taking place. Yeah, and the ones that actually have a greater sense of the truth, the ones that have mastered the truth, they run circles around all their competitors. Michael Jordan, there still isn't anyone like him on the court because there's not anyone as intelligent as him on the court. We like to tell ourselves that Michael wasn't really a book guy. But it's not about physical books. You could learn just from seeking. You don't necessarily need a book. Books aren't the great secret, to the great answer to all of our problems. You could just seek. You could just go down a certain path and just seek. And just keep going. And you'll find the truth in that thing. See? How many times did Michael Jordan have to shoot the ball to say, oh, this is why everybody keeps missing their shots. They keep shooting like this when really they should be shooting like that. didn't get it from a book. Books help. See, books help. And like I said before, you know, if you partake in my library, I don't write all those books for y'all to be reading them all day. I don't expect y'all to read my books all day. That library is for my legacy. That's for my kids. That's for them to grow up on, you know, and hopefully my grandkids too. See, but I put it out there because I know that, you know, I can touch some folks. But in all lessons, I expect y'all to get results just from a couple of chapters. That's how I write my books. If you can't get it within a couple of chapters, then, you know, education is your action. That's the only action you're probably gonna take. Which is okay, you know. Because some of us, we do have that learning muscle. We just have a muscle in the brain that's just created. That muscle in our brain is created to receive knowledge, and it's beautiful. But yeah, books aren't the answer to all greatness. It's seeking the truth in whatever it is you're doing. That's the whole essence of the high table. That's the whole essence to the illumined ones, the ones that are the light bearers, the ones that are the truth bearers. Look, it is secret societies, it's occultic. I get it. You know, I'm not with the occultic side of it. I'm not into that. I'm into the Most High. I'm into the God. I'm into God. I'm into the God of Isaac, Abraham, Ishmael, and Jacob. That's what I'm into. And I threw Ishmael in there because it's the same God. Muslims, they worship the same God. You know, but they're not perfect either. They're not perfect. They're more perfect than most Christians today, most neo-Christians today, but they're not perfect. And they don't have to be. They're good enough. You know, many believers today, they're good enough. Most of our judgment with God really ends with the beginning, which is be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, and subdue it. You know, that's pretty much all we're going to really be judged by once we get to heaven. And then there's the law. The law goes into detail of how you'll be judged for those main commandments. See. But here we have it, you know, the high table, they're the red pills. Why? Because the red pills in the Matrix, they were able to do what they did for the sake of the truth. They were able to do what they did because they had the truth. See, once they got the truth and they went back into the Matrix, oh man, they started navigating the whole world, started flying and jumping off of buildings and all kinds of stuff, just manipulating the whole atmosphere, that whole simulation. And you gotta imagine a normal person just walking by a red pill that's doing all that amazing stuff. An NPC, see, someone that's a blue pill, someone that's not aware of reality, someone that doesn't live in reality, but they live in the reality that they were programmed to live in. You gotta imagine them looking at a Morpheus fighting not necessarily an agent, but fighting someone that's, you know, coming against his cause, and he's handling these guys 15-1, jumping in the air with hang time. Jumping in the air and not coming down. You know, you gotta imagine to an NPC watching that, they're like, wow, who is this guy? How can I join? Right? The difference between Morpheus or whatever red pill in that sense and that NPC is that the NPC hasn't been awakened. They haven't came to the truth yet. The truth of their reality, the truth of life. And why have they not came to the truth yet? They don't seek it. They don't seek it. Too comfortable. See? And it's the same thing with the John Wick world. You see the NPCs in that world as John is fighting all these guys. They're just trying to get to where they're trying to get to, and some of them could be in awe. Like, wow, look at what they're doing. Wow, look at... And some of them may just be scared, like, oh my goodness, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it home. But the difference is that one has the truth and one doesn't. Now I want to go a little deeper into this. This may get a little dark, all right, but just hang with me, because the truth can have a little bit of darkness in it. And see, the problem with most people today is they're too Marxist. They're too Marxist. They believe that just because something is good means that it's righteous too, and that's not necessarily the case. You know, the devil hardly ever shows himself as bad. He's always shown himself as good. Why? Because he knows that most people believe good. Most people will accept good, even though it's evil. Even if it's evil. Because most people don't look for righteous or evil. Most people look for good or bad. Why? Because you can be lazy and discern good or bad, but you can't be lazy and discern righteous or evil. And God didn't send us into the world so that we can be good. God sent us into the world so that we could be righteous. God's perfect will for us is for us to be righteous. That's why when God creates us, scripture says everything God creates is perfect. So God creates us perfect. God creates us perfect until we choose to go against, away from our nature, our perfect nature. We start switching things up. We get bored with perfect. We say, let me switch some things up. We bring all this good into our lives without realizing that some of this stuff is actually evil too. It's good and it's evil. See, you have to do digging to find righteous. You have to do digging. You have to do digging for the truth. So how are the high table the red pills? The high table are the red pills because they are the ones with the truth. That's why they're able to run the world. That's why they're able to manipulate all the NPCs. That's why they're able to have such control over the NPCs that everyone's partying in these clubs, as long as that high table member that owns the club is alive. Once John Wick waxed that that club owner, everyone's leaving the club. Got to think about that. Why weren't people leaving the club when they were shooting? Why weren't people leaving the club when John Wick whacked about 30 guards? Right? These are deceased people. Right? Why weren't people leaving the club at that point? They were still partying, still having a good time. See? But once the high table member gets whacked, everybody leaves. Once that nightclub owner gets whacked, everybody leaves. Why? Because as a high table member, that's how much control he had over the people. To the point where he didn't have to necessarily go down to the dance floor and say, everyone, hey, everyone relax. This is a show. This is just a show. It's just it's just a part of the show. Enjoy. Right? Didn't have to do anything like that. He had such control over those people that as long as he was living, they were partying. See? And we can be those people sometimes. See? Now, why does it have to be crime? This is a philosophy. I'm not going to go too deep into it. Like I said, it's going to get a little dark. Just bear with me. All right. The reason why the high table, and I think it's brilliant screenwriting, but the reason why the high table is a criminal organization is because most people that wake up to reality in this world, they usually turn towards crime. They usually turn towards crime. The reason why is because they realize that most people gravitate to those dark whims. Most people are enthralled, they're entertained by dark things. They love dark things. Why is there a whole $1 billion horror movie genre? People love that stuff. People know they're not gonna get any sleep that the night that they engage in that stuff, but they have a whole horror movie collection in their house. And when most people wake up to reality, when most people take the red pill, it is a deep temptation, and it's a deep it's a deep challenge, really. That's a whole other challenge in itself, a whole battle in itself, to stay in the light, to stay righteous, to keep from going into darkness. Because you realize that the majority of people in this world, if you're going to give them truly what they truly want, you're going to be giving them something dark. You're going to be setting up a nightclub for them. You're going to be setting up a strip club for them. You're going to be setting up a brothel for them. You're going to be setting up a gun, not gun store, right? You're going to be setting up a place for people to get black market artillery. I'll put it that way. I'm trying to articulate this for you guys, for it to make sense. If you're going to give people what they really want, you have to give them something dark. That's a vicious reality that we have to face when we take the red pill. And as you can see in the John Wick universe, the high table capitalizes on it. They capitalize on it. That's why it has to be criminal. That's why they have to be considered the rulers of the criminal world. And that's just one aspect. Another aspect is the rulers of this world, the real world high table, the secret societies that run this world. They understand that about people. They understand that the most highly sought after things are dark. They're dark. The things that people really want most in life are dark. And it's not because people want to be dark. It's because people just want to try it out for a bit. People always want to try something out. And we're not talking about other red pills. Mind you, once you're a red pill, you're free of being a slave to darkness. You're free from being whimsical and just seeking sin. You're free from that as a red pill. This is the blue pill majority that we're talking about here. The powers that be, all these secret societies that we read these books on, they understand that most people just gravitate to sin. So what do they do to control people? What's the term I'm looking for? What's the term I'm looking for? They want to capitalize. How do they capitalize on people's desire for dark things? They slap a law on top of it. They slap a law on top of it. They say, "Oh, you wanna be a whoremonger? You wanna play the harlot? All right, we're gonna make it illegal. Oh, you wanna get high off your own supply? We're gonna make it illegal for you to sell it, and we're gonna make it illegal for you to use it." Mind you, most of those drugs, the coldest ones, they're grown from the ground. They come from the earth. They start out as plants. It's all this new stuff that's made in a lab. Some of the coldest ones that was flooding the lower areas of the Americas within the 80s. That stuff was grown from the ground. God, created that stuff. Not for us to smoke it, right? And they have better and different purposes, but those were things that God created for us to use for better purposes. See? But people, they want to do the dark thing with it. They want to get high off of it. They want to abuse it. They don't want to use it. They want to abuse it. They want to abuse it. So the powers that be, they don't say, "Oh, we're gonna burn all this stuff," right? No, they slap a law on top of it. They say, "All right, we put a law on top of it. We put consequences on top of it. Let's see who smokes it now. We put laws on top of it. Let's see who sells it now. And let's pump billions of dollars into muses that can amuse the people and can program them, a specific demographic, into selling this stuff. And then let's see who sells it now. The high table. See, the high table. So that's why the red pill, that's why the high table, they're the red pills because they're the ones with the truth. They're the ones that understand that most people are NPCs. They're the ones that understand that the crime world, it needs people that really want these things that are crimes. And the only reason why they're crimes is because the lawmakers make them crimes. So it makes people want it more. So it makes people feel good when they're breaking a law and they perceive that they're getting away with it. In reality, they're just getting by. See? The only reason why it's criminal is because the lawmakers made them crimes. Because there weren't crimes in ancient times. There wasn't a law against using drug abuse in ancient times, substance abuse in ancient times. There wasn't a law against domestic abuse in ancient times. No law against that. Laws didn't really start cracking. There wasn't really laws that started cracking down on those things until Caesar Augustus. But it was for righteous reason. But after him, the Praetorian Guard became a thing. And from there you had the Knights Templar, and I'll leave you guys to study the rest of those. But this shows you how far back the high table goes. And the high table, they're the red pills. They're the ones that originally woken or awakened to reality, and they just seen things for what they really were. People want to do dark things, so we might as well just give them a platform to do it and hey, get their money, because it's better in our hands than in theirs. They're just gonna use it up for their whims, you know, turn these nice buildings that they have into projects. You know, the money's better in our hands than in theirs. The power's better in our hands than in theirs. See? So that sounds very sinister, I know, but they're still red pills. And mind you, John Wick, being Neo, isn't against that philosophy. Why? Because he's an assassin. He's a part of the high table. He's doing what they're doing. He's not against the philosophy. And he came after the high table for selfish reasons, just like in the Matrix. In the Matrix, he chose Trinity over the rest of the world. Love. Chose love over the rest of the world. You know, what kind of hero is that? I hate to sound like Cypher. I'm just, you know, playing both sides for a second. Just so that we could philosophize this. But he chose this one girl that he's in love with over the rest of the world when the architect gave him that ultimatum. And the John Wick universe, he's taking down all these guys out of revenge. Revenge for what? For this girl that he was in love with. The dog meant a lot to him too, but he wasn't much of a dog lover. I don't believe. Not until he got that dog as a gift from his dearly departed wife. See. So this is what it's about. John Wick wasn't against the beliefs. He was already a part of the high table when he was married. Before he even lost his girl, he was already in the high table. And he looked happy when he was married, when they showed those clips of him being, with his wife. They were jumping up and down and smiling from ear to ear in love. See, then he lost her. Then a bully came around. And then he snapped, went right back into the high table. Went right back into work, as that cop said. So this is what this is about. We have to ask ourselves, why didn't John Wick oppose those beliefs? He was a part of that world. When he snapped back, why didn't he change his beliefs? Why did he see the old thing that he did, which was mercenary work? Why didn't he see that as evil and wrong and bad? Why did he see that as the answer for these guys? Why did he become a hero after taking that dark path? You gotta think about this. This is a dark group, and John Wick was the best out of this group. The group are nothing but a group of men that have the truth. They're the truth bearers, and they run the world with this truth. John Wick, being a part of that group, had the truth also, and he just so happened to be the best with the truth. Why is it that John Wick didn't choose a more philosophical path? Why wasn't he a Socrates in that world? It's simple. Very simple. Because the truth could get very dark. The truth could get very dark. And when you understand the degrees of truth, when you understand those that have all the secrets, those that have all of the truth in their hands, you realize that, yeah, this is how this world works. And then you're left with a battle, the great battle of the truth bearers. And it's, do I live a righteous life? Or do I go and become a worker of iniquity? See? Do I seek to tend to this simulation? Or should I seek to tend to the world beyond? The high table, they're the red pills. They're the ones with the truth. The secret societies, they're the red pills. They're the real red pills. They're the ones with the truth. It doesn't mean that you have to sacrifice a goat. I'm not saying that. doesn't mean that we have to become dark. I'm not saying that. I'm saying there's a dark side to the red pill. This is that. This is that. It's unfortunate that we won't see a movie that or a series that's based on the light side of the red pill. It's unfortunate, but that's not going to play into the powers that be. It's not going to play into the high table's plans for us. But we don't need a movie on it. We don't. Philosophy and the freedom to choose. That's all we need. And all we got to do is just keep seeking the truth and keep choosing. You seek the truth. Why? Because when options are placed before you, the truth allows you to identify what you're really looking at. See? So when you make a choice, you could go before God and say, yeah, I knew exactly what I was doing. And if I didn't have the truth, Lord, I probably would have defied you unknowingly. See? Because everybody thinks they know God. Everybody thinks they're doing God's work. Hitler thought he was doing God's work, for goodness sake. For goodness sakes. You know? So at some point it's like, all right, when are we going to stop guessing? This is what we can learn from the high table. It's very profitable to be dark. It's very profitable to be dark. But it's profitable in a simulation. That's profit for this simulation. Because there's more beyond this simulation than we can ever grasp. Don't believe me? Hop into a SpaceX rocket ship and just head north and see how far you could get until you start seeing things. The scientific term for it is hallucinations. Or the medical term for it is hallucinations. But the spiritual term for it is tapping in. Tapping into the spirit realm. Tapping into the world beyond this simulation. And beyond that, when you tap into the spirit realm, you're just tapping into a outer simulation. The spirit realm still has simulations in it too. The earth has its simulation. Mars has its simulation. The sun has its own simulation. These are all different simulations. See? So this is where we are with this. This is how we could tie this to our lives. The high table, it does exist in some form. But when we go to the store and just before we get into the store, when we look at this big logo that has this Egyptian symbol on it, right? And then we walk into the store, we pull out this grocery bag that has this Greek symbol on it. And then we start walking down the aisles that has products that have Latin names on them. You got to understand, you're just in a simulation. It's just a simulation, and the high table runs it. But since we're men, because that's what I'm mainly speaking to. If you're a woman listening to this, I'm sorry. I should have prepped you. I'm sorry. I should have prepped you. But as men, we're not supposed to complain about the simulation. Men don't complain. As men, understanding that we're in this simulation, we're supposed to put our minds to the task and to say, how can I seek the truth? How can I get a hold of this truth too? So that I can start navigating this world. So that I can start navigating this world that's ran by this high table, but according to God's will. See? That's what it's about. That's how you do it. This is how you do it. Whatever your work is, seek the truth in it, so that you can get so good at it that you start doing it with grace. I'm gonna touch up on a little bit of that in my Gladiator series. I may do a whole series on gladiators, because there's much to learn from the gladiators. But it's a beautiful thing when you learn the truth. But it's bitter when you first taste it. When you first taste the truth. Because there's a lot of harsh realities in there. But it always works out well. It always works out well. See? It's like Isaiah Bowman, you take his herbs, the best ones, out of all those herbs, everyone's favorites are those bush bitters. It's bitter, very bitter. But what it does for you, it works wonders. And that's what the truth is. Just deal with the bitterness, with the understanding that it's going to work wonders for you. Seek the truth. Whatever your work is, seek the truth in it. Understanding that, this is a simulation. The high table is watching. But let them watch. That's okay. And don't get mad at the high table. Just understand that they're the ones that's actually working this thing. They're the ones that's actually got this thing figured out. They got people figured out at the back of their hand. And that's not an easy task. But you could get a shortcut by learning from the masters. You can't get a shortcut by learning from the masters of it. But you also have to understand what the masters fail to realize sometimes also, because there's levels with those guys too. They have a very rough filtering system. I think within the secret societies of this world, I think their filtering system is genius, but it's dark. That's why most people don't look deeper into it. But I think it's genius, because at the lower half, You have the people that you see today, the Lil Nas X's, and, the Jay-Z's or whatnot. That's at the lower, the absolute low. Even lower than that, you have some of these females that we'll see today. They'll be doing yoga, having sex symbols, tattoos, Egyptology, sex symbols, right? And knowing your signs, asking what your sign is, doing horoscopes, having a Ouija board in their closet that you don't know about, all this stuff, right? Putting blood in your spaghetti. That's the low level, right? That's the lowest of the low. Then you have the Lil Nas X's. Then from there, you have people that actually join groups. And those are the guys that are usually on Prophecy Club, just sharing their testimony. But this is what I believe. I believe if someone could get past that stage where you're sacrificing goats and all those things, then I believe that you actually get to a phase or to a stage where you actually ascend beyond effeminacy, and you ascend beyond whims, all the whims and the pleasures that come from that stuff, And I think it's the guys at the absolute top that are the masters of discipline. They dwell in discipline, just like the ancient Praetorian Guards, just like the ancient, the gladiators won't be a good analogy, not in this sense, but the Spartans, very good analogy. These guys, they didn't discipline themselves, they dwelt in discipline. And I think that's what the high table actually does. They done had every pleasure known to man. They done the most grotesque things you could think of known to man. And most people will become addicts. Most people will be so hung up on that thing that they can't even function straight. Their minds can't even function properly. Look at the Jimi Hendrix, those guys of the world. Look at the I can't think of his name, but all those guys. Look at Harvey Weinstein. All those guys. They join the group, they make their sacrifices, and they get addicted to the point where they can't stop doing it. And it's a filtering system. It filters them out. If you could get past that phase, you can actually sit at the table. You can have a seat at the table. And that's what I believe that filtering system is. I honestly believe that's how it works. See. Now, do we have to do all that? No. We don't have to do all that. We shouldn't have to do all of that just to get the message behind this. And the message is the guys at the top have the truth. And a part of that truth is you can't be a slave to anything. You can't be hung up on anything. You're either going to be a slave or you're going to be a master. A grand master. See how these terms are worked in? Which one are you going to be? Are you going to be a slave to your sin? Or are you going to be a master over those whims? See, are you going to say, I know I shouldn't do this, but I'm going to anyway? Or are you going to say, God said I shouldn't do it, so I should just follow his book? Mind you, The guys at the high table, they follow the law of Moses to the T. But they cause other people to break it, and they capitalize off of everyone else breaking it. The high table, they broke the law, don't get me wrong. They done some very grotesque things. You know, Crowleyism and, you know, all that dark magic, that stuff gets dark. When you realize what the third eye means, according to Crowleyism, it gets dark. But that's not how they live their lives. Those are the things that they have done to be a part of the group that they are a part of. But in how great it felt to do those grotesque things, they master the pleasure. They master it. They rise above the pleasure and they say, you know what? I don't have to do this. As good as this feels, I don't have to do this. This isn't gonna benefit me. And now they can have a seat at the table. See, whenever we see someone become successful, we always say, oh, they're successful because they sacrificed a goat. It shows you that we still got a little bit of NPC in us. We still got a little bit of blue pill in us that we got to get out. But whenever we see someone, you know, successful, we say, oh, they sold their soul. They sacrificed a goat. They drunk some blood. Right? But the reason why they're successful is because, yeah, they may have sacrificed a goat, but they're not addicted to it. Yeah, they may have drunk some blood, but they're not addicted to it. Yeah, they may have did the grotesque thing, but they're not rewarded for doing the grotesque thing. They're rewarded because they're not addicted to it. Do you get the point? This is what we could learn from the high table. You don't have to do evil in order to understand that you have the ability to have full mastery over your desire to do evil. You shouldn't have to do evil to truly battle your desire for evil. You shouldn't have to wear yourself out in this world of darkness and just darkness to where you just can't have, to where it's just no more pleasure to be had. You tried everything. You shouldn't have to wear yourself out just to develop a sense of control. When you see an opportunity to engage in something pleasurable, you shouldn't be saying, oh no, I'm already worn out of that thing. What you should be saying is, no, that's the only benefit from that thing is pleasure. See that? See why I'm such a stickler for class? That's class. That's stoicism. And that's the secret of the high table. It's stoicism. It's the truth in stoicism. Mind you, most of the concepts that the high table operate off of, whether knowingly or unknowingly, it comes from Plato. It comes from the philosophers of the West. Plato's cave. You have people that's in a cave that light candles. They don't really understand these objects that they see. They just see shadows and they think they have a full understanding of life. But when someone in that cave starts questioning their reality, starts getting down to the truth of their reality, starts getting down to the truth of their environment, they can actually break out of the cave and realize that there's a whole world before them. And then they get to be blessed, touched by the sun or the good things of life, which will be the truth in this reference. It's history behind everything. The answer to your future is in the history of it. The answer to your future is in the history of it. When you get to the point where you realize that whatever's going to happen in the future is not some new thing, it's just something that has happened in the past, preparing itself to repeat itself. You kind of live in the present a little differently. So that's, in short, not too short, it's about an hour 30. That's the high table. That's what we can learn from the high table. It's the fact that we're dealing with the organization that understands all the people under it better than they do, and keep order in this world by giving the people an organized opportunity to engage in chaos. Chaos being sin. You don't have to sacrifice a goat to learn this. You don't have to become a part of the high table to learn this. The objective as people of light, the objective as people of righteousness, people that live for Yahweh, for Jehovah, for Yahovah, whatever pronunciation you want to use, right? People that have Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior, people that have Yahshua, Hamashiach, Yahudah, right, as their Lord and Savior. This is something that we have to understand. That's how the high table works, according to Ephesians 6. And what we should understand is, as believers, we don't have to sacrifice a goat to know these things. All we gotta do is just seek the truth. That's all we gotta do. Seek the truth in everything we do. And know that God is rooting us on. That's all we gotta do. It's a tough battle. It's a battle of the mind, I know, but you're not alone. You have brothers that are trying to figure this out alongside you. You could call me brother. That's what I'm here for. That's what we're all here for. You got Chronicles of Judah. You got Coach Greg, Angry Man. You got all these guys, good guys. Andre Taylor, Sanford P, no longer with us. Freeze is it. These are some great guys, man, that are actually risking themselves to just nudge somebody, just to get somebody to move. It's like what Socrates called himself a Greek variant of a mosquito stinging a lazy horse, causing it to use its potential. That's the majority of the people. That's the majority of our loved ones, the people that we dwell with. a lazy horse as a collective that needs a sting to get up and move. See, what we can learn from the high table is this is why people do the stupid stuff they do from time to time. It's not accidental, not one bit. But in the way that they're able to manipulate this world, in the way that they're able to maneuver in this world, just by simply having the truth, that's what we can do. We just don't have to sacrifice a goat to do it. See, you can kind of see these different occult groups a little differently now, right? You can kind of see them a little differently now. When you get down to it, you know, I don't think the guys at the top really care about evil that much. I don't think they really, are into it, like addicted to it, like addicts or heavy enthusiasts of it. Honestly, I think the guys at the top really could care less about the evil, right? But you could look at high dark worshippers, high Satanists like Aleister Crowley, right, or Manly P. Hall. Those guys were still puppets. And those were high wizards, but they were still puppets. Why? Because the purpose of life isn't to master wizardry. The purpose of life isn't to master the spiritual realm. It's to master the realm that you're in. So, needless to say, there's guys above them. There were guys above them at that time. See? And those high wizards, they didn't get a seat at the table. Why? They were too stuck in their world. They were too stuck in that, in that delusion. So they were on their way, but they still didn't get the red pill. Or they got the red pill, and once they started navigating things in the matrix, they said, well, we're just going to stay here, and kind of turned into a purple pill. Someone that has more, a blue pill that has more truth than most blue pills. See? So yeah, there are levels to this. And that's not just to speak on them, there's many within God's camps. Within God's camp, those that represent God openly. Many of our preachers and televangelists and mega church pastors, man, if you can't see that many of them are blue-pilled, but if you can't see that they're doing the work of the high table also, those guys are pumping Marxism into their congregants' veins, pumping it in, pumping that communism through Marxism. See, because the church today will speak against physical communism, right? But they won't be so quick to speak against social communism. And what's social communism? Marxism. Every church message today is Marxist. So yeah, the light side have their issues too, but it's not about whether it's light or dark or not. The bottom line is if you have the truth. That doesn't mean join a criminal organization. That doesn't mean the secret to life is to be a wizard, or it doesn't mean the secret to life is to be a Christian Marxist. That means what I'm getting down to, what this means is, you just have to get the truth. See, that's what it all comes down to. That's what we can learn from the high table. It's the fact that if you get the truth and you learn how to master it, you could be great. You could manipulate, well, not manipulate, you can navigate this simulation. You can maneuver and navigate this simulation in ways that people will look at you and say, wow, he joined the high table. When that's not the case at all. See? So, I'm gonna go ahead and leave you guys with that. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for sharing this with everyone that you know. And as Movie Stein says, remember that the high table is always watching. All right, stay wise.